Well, that was an eventful Japanese Grand Prix, wasn't it? It went all off at the start. Max Verstappen got a poor start, as did his teammate Sergio Perez. Lando Norris from P3 got a mega start, nearly got into P1 round the outside. Just wasn't to be, was it, in turn 2? It's always difficult to overtake there, but a fantastic job from him. Oscar Piastri almost on the inside, got some wheel spin, he said, and that cost him getting a good run on the inside of Max Verstappen. But once Verstappen got into the lead, he was comfortable from there. Yeah. Behind though, like I said, Sergio Perez, a really poor start from him. He dropped a couple of places back, one to the Ferrari, and then Lewis Hamilton nearly got onto him, and then the squeeze. Perez ran into Hamilton, and that was the start of what was to become a really scruffy Grand Prix for Sergio Perez from there, wasn't it? I mean, he's probably had one of his worst ones yet. In and behind, Alex Albon unfortunately got a massive whack from the Alfa Romeo Bottas. Him, Zhou Guanzu suffered damage as well because of that. Albon's race effectively over from there in the Williams. Logan Sargent got caught up in that as well, had to pit. He then had a whack with Bottas on the safety car restart once the debris was cleared on that lap 1 incident. And then at the front, it was pretty much racing from there, wasn't it? Oscar Piastri got the jump on Lando Norris under the VSC, and I thought, could he have... I think the VSC was just probably about 10 seconds too late for Piastri to get the absolute maximum out of it, and kind of put a bit of pressure on Verstappen, where he could have potentially come out of the in the lead there. But that Red Bull was mega. He was far too quick, wasn't he, Max Verstappen? Piastri then was into second place after the first stops. Lando Norris ran extra, and that was the story of the race, wasn't it? It wasn't really the undercut, it was trying to just get the most. Whoever was on the fresher tyres toward the end would have been the one in the driving seat, wasn't he? But his race management on tyres, Piastri, was poor. He dropped off, finished about 10-15 seconds behind Norris in the end. Something he needs to improve on, but a podium position for Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris second, and Max Verstappen the winner. In behind, wasn't it? It was close. Charles Leclerc was comfortable 4th place, but that 5th place battle was right in the mix, wasn't it? Only because George Russell went for a bit of a Hail Mary, tried the one stop, wasn't to be, was it? Kind of caused Ferrari to make a bit of mistake on Sainz, didn't they? Because they left him out too long. Lewis Hamilton got the undercut on him, and yeah, the two Mercedes kind of slightly not really worked together so well like we've seen with Norris and Sainz last time out. But yeah, Russell was a sitting duck with 10 laps older tyres than the pair of Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. He finished 7th in the end. Lewis Hamilton beats one of the red Ferraris, so a bit of damage limitation in their battle for second in the Constructors' Championship. And then from there on the back, you know, the two Williams, they lost out. Albon eventually retired from that lap 1 damage, effectively just lost too much, was falling way back. Logan Sargent, lap 1 incident, and then took out Bottas, got a penalty on that as well, way back. Yeah, the Alpines were good in the race, but not fantastic. Gasly was a strange call theirs, wasn't it? We'll get into that, of their switcheroo at the end. Alonso comfortable in his position. He had a struggle of a race, didn't he? He didn't have any horsepower down the straight. I was going to just half expect him to shout GP2 again, wasn't he? He was that close, complaining about the engine power on that Aston Martin. They really struggled and look like the 4th, 5th best team, don't they, at the moment, this moment in time, which is a real shame, because their development has gone way down the order. Different to everybody else. I'm not sure what's gone on, because they were so quick to lose it. As bad as they have, their development race has been poor. But yeah, let's get to the 3 good and the 3 bad. Max Verstappen wins, and he gives Red Bull the Constructors' Championship for the 6th time. And fitting, actually, that he won it, and it was all down to him, because Perez, with his incident, actually retired. It was all down to Red Bull's Max Verstappen to bring it home, and he gave them that Constructors' Championship. And actually, it's been his performance throughout this championship which has really given Red Bull the win. It's looked like a rocket ship in his hands only, hasn't it? That Red Bull. If it was for Sergio Perez, I mean, God knows this championship battle would be going right down to the wire, wouldn't it? So yeah, fantastic job from him. He was phenomenal from minute one. Fastest in the practices, qualifying, in the race he had it comfortable. Brilliant job. That lap in qualifying yesterday was fantastic. And in the race he just had everything under control, managed it right comfortably right to the end, and a brilliant win from him. So yeah, Constructors Championship, fantastic for them, well done. He can wrap up the Drivers' Championship next time out in Qatar in the sprint race on Saturday with like just a 3-point deficit. I think he needs like 1 point to win that now. So you know, he's been absolutely phenomenal. Fantastic job from him. And no doubt he'll get that in a couple of weeks' time in Qatar. Next on that two of the three good is Oscar Piastri. A good race from him. He undercut Norris, and that worked really well for him, didn't it, at the start of the race? And could he have held on and after losing out to Norris at the start for a second place and beating his teammate, I think that would have been a fantastic result. But he gets his podium position, third place, a McLaren 2-3. It's brilliant weekend for McLaren, isn't it? They're right in the hunt to pass Aston Martin in their constructors battle. But yeah, Oscar, I was really impressed with him. He had a really good quality lap yesterday, and today in the race. Just didn't work out. Needs to sort out his race management or something. He was a bit critical of himself, but for a rookie to be that close and right up in the front was fantastic for them. And third was Lewis Hamilton. He beat Russell. Good battle with his teammate, wasn't he? Ran Russell wide and spoon. Russell wasn't too happy about that. I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of that in the driver's briefing. And the battle and the move to beat Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, who actually I think were comfortably faster than the Mercedes this weekend, and should really have maximised their points gap and gain on them in the Constructors' Championship. But Lewis Hamilton held on. Brilliant job from him. Dragged that car. He had damage on that front of the car as well, wasn't he, from his incident with Perez? So to pull that car around, he kind of dragged that into that 5th place finish. So hats off to him. Brilliant racing. And a shout out on this one to Liam Lawson, who beats Yuki Tsunoda in a straight fight. Them two Alpha Tauris were at it, weren't they? Yuki got a poor start. Lawson got ahead of him. Yuki then used the undercut on pit 1 when they stopped for the first time. Lawson used it for the second time when they went for the second pits and got ahead of Yuki, and it was a right battle, wasn't it? Half a tenth in it right to the end, but Lawson holds on. Will we see him next time out in Qatar? Potentially, but that could be his last race, and to beat his teammate in a straight fight in his home race, he can be very happy with his performance. Yeah, again, putting himself in the window for that Williams seat. Just saying, I'm not sure why that might still be up for debate in Williams' mind. I can't see why they wouldn't. But to the three bad. Gonna start with Sergio Perez. He had a shocking race. Poor in qualifying, poor in lap 1. The lap 1 incident, like I said, I think that wasn't really his fault. Got squeezed by the two Ferraris. Into Hamilton. Hamilton didn't really have anywhere to go. Perez didn't really have anywhere to go. 4 wide going into that tight first corner at Japan. Wasn't really ever going to happen. He had to come in under the safety car because the safety car came out for all that debris on lap 1. But it was a rookie mistake, wasn't it? He passed under the safety car going into the pits. A driver, which cost him. He got a 5-second penalty for that. He was then right at the back of the field, and then trying to make his way through the field. What a clumsy move on Kevin Magnussen. A bit like the move that he pulled on Alex Albon last time out. It was really poor. He just got a 5-second penalty, and to be fair, he'd almost retired before that even came out. He was in the pits and they were timing. They gave him a 5-second penalty. He then came out to just run that 5-second penalty, so they don't carry on over into the next race, because it could have turned potentially into a grid penalty. But yeah, really poor when his teammates gone on 1 and given Red Bull the constructors. you know, normally there's two handles to a cup, and I think Max Verstappen can hold both hands and say that constructor title to Red Bull is a present from him, isn't it? Because Perez probably just put his little finger on that, say that's all he's contributed to that trophy for the Red Bull team this weekend and throughout this season, to be honest, isn't it? He's been really poor. But surprising that he looks like he's going to get the call for that seat for next year. I mean, he's not doing himself any favours. I mean, could it be that Liam Lawson goes straight into that seat at Red Bull? Now that would be phenomenal, because his performances have been fantastic, and what what a boost that would be for the Red Bull driver program drivers. There's a group of them in there to say, look, if you can do it like he has done it, it's a 4-race sort of test, isn't it, for Liam Lawson, and he's come through with flying colours. Fantastic in Singapore, a brilliant race today. You know, just saying, if it happens, you heard it here first. A bit of a long shot, but you just never know in Formula 1. Next up, I'm going to go for the Alpine team on this one for the 3 bad. Their decision to order and let Ocon past Gasly at the end is shocking. Gasly was faster than him. He was on about 10 laps fresher tyres, and as we've seen with the difference in just 4 lap fresher tyres with Ferrari and Mercedes, you know, that's a significant performance advantage here in Japan, and he would easily have had that place ahead of him. And I'm not just saying that because I had him predicted Gasly as the surprise performer for me for this weekend. Kind of wasn't quite to be, was it? That Alpine wasn't as good as it should have been. But to call that at the end and make Gasly let Ocon past, he was fuming, because he kind of almost said, look, I would have passed him anyway. Would have been a sitting duck. So to order him to let him past, he was, not good. I didn't like that at all. And even a little bit with the two McLarens, when they didn't kind of let them race each other. The Ferrari weren't really in quick enough to press the McLarens. I know I digress a bit here from Alpine, but yeah, another one where they just didn't let them two race. A bit of a shame, because we've seen the Mercedes boys do that, and it really lights up the Grand Prix, don't we? We see two cars from the same team in equal machinery go at it. Normally produces fantastic racing. Wasn't to be on both of these occasions. And the last of the 3 bad is Logan Sargeant. Tops off a poor weekend for Williams, double DNF. Crash on lap 1, took out Bottas at the hairpin as well. He had a poor race, didn't he? He's not doing much to keep his seat, is he, in Formula 1? The big crash in qualifying incident and out in the race. Costly weekend for Williams, isn't it? Damage to both cars. Alex is in the race. Through no fault of his own, Alex. He was taken out. Massive damage, and that was the end of his race, and a really disappointing race for Williams overall. Double DNF, and they'll be hoping for better in Qatar. It's another high-speed circuit, so potentially Qatar they should do well. Williams there. This one, they kind of always knew it would be a bit of a struggle. Alex could have been in a fight for a point, considering the amount of drivers that went out. But yeah, disappointing all round. But yeah, there we have it. Watch out for the driver rating video coming out later in this week, probably about Thursday. And then we'll have the preview for the Qatar Grand Prix coming up in a couple of weeks' time. We've got a bit of a break, haven't we? After the back-to-back fly-out races in Japan and Singapore. Both have been fantastic. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always, and I'll see you in the next video.